Welcome to Last Call with Tipsy Title.
We gon' get tipsy. 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 We gon' get tipsy.
All right. So, what were our initial thoughts about this book before we get into like detailed questions?
It was not a thriller. That's my first thought of this book. It was not a thriller. It was about gentrification, and they made it a little spooky at the end. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was very rushed. Like I feel like, first of all, it took me a really long time to get into this, and then when stuff started happening, it was like, it was kind of like one of those movies that were, what is it called? Like a
climatic.
Or like it was so unbelievable, but not unbelievable because I mean it's believable, but yeah, I can't think of the word. Never mind.
The book was very slow. Very slow. Like Lauren said, I don't feel like it was a thriller. I wasn't thrilled. I had a really hard time getting into this book.
I am trying to read it for the payoff. Like, what is going to happen?
Yes. Yeah. And I was very disappointed because I was excited about this being a thriller. We're just going to have to go back to our love stories.
I love love.
Well, they tried to make this a little bit of a love story. It had a romance element.
Sure. Well, so then I also need to highlight that I love Black stories.
Black love.
Yes,
please.
Black love stories.
It was about gentrification, and these people that moved into this neighborhood, they was nothing but straight racist. The stuff that they were saying and doing,
they were wild.
Were just like, they were wild. Like it was just racist. The whole police force was racist. Everybody, I don't know.
It wasn't a thriller for Black people. No. Maybe if it was a white person reading it. And I didn't like that either. Like I didn't like how the white man was the savior in it.
Yeah, and he was a criminal himself, so he just
and then so it was like the only way he could relate to her, like they were relatable because he grew up poor. He grew up. He was a criminal. Like I did not like this.
It ended unbelievably. I couldn't believe, like, the girl, her best friend, she just gonna leave her in the stairwell. Like, so what's happening? You know what I'm saying with that? Like, what's happening with this dead body that's in her house now?
Ooh, dead body.
All just congregating in their other neighbor's house. It's gonna be okay, guys. Ooh.
There's another fight to fight.
How?
Okay, so let's work our way there. We'll get to the ending. Right. So we've What did you think of the scene in the Uber? Did you think that was all in Sydney's head?
No, I think that really happened. Because even after the fact, she saw him at the bottom in the basement. But that was scary. Like that's such a big fear of mine.
Yes.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, that was scary. But then like nothing happened with that for like another 6 chapters. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the action. Then nothing else happened for another a whole bunch of chapters.
I thought it was gonna pick up. That was like, okay, we getting into something.
Pick up after that, but no. And I know we keep focusing on the end, but the end, that was the only time any action happened.
So the pacing of the novel. So all of these events happened in like a week. So the pacing of the novel, do you guys think it went too quickly? Do you think?
Yeah. I mean, like, how many people disappeared off of that street in 1 week?
I think the background was necessary to build up to understand what the whole story was about, but it was still done very slowly. Yeah, like there was no action like at the same time when all of this was happening.
Yeah, and so while it started off very slow, I feel like when all of the stuff was happening, that happened hella quick. Because it was like the blackout happened and then they immediately go run to the bodega to like go under the what?
and some underground. Yeah, so yeah, as soon as the blackout happened, that's when everything happened. And I'm talking about they just shooting up people. And
Yeah,
and then just burn the building down like that's it.
that shit was like a movie off Tubi.
I'm talking about going through shooting people in the head.
Yeah, and just keeping it moving.
And I'm like, I understand that these are just regular people, and they're just finding all this stuff out in a week, and then they going through shooting people like they John Wick. Like
yes, John fucking Wick. Like what? You shot him while he was up in front of the meeting room talking?
Boom! Just shot the lady, his girlfriend. Just shot her, and she fooling around with a revolver, shooting people.
An old one.
Old one. Like, is this even working? Does this even work?
Oh, okay. So, did you like the chapters switching back and forth point of view between Theo and Sydney, or would you have just preferred Sydney? Do you think that she was all we needed, or do you think we needed to hear Theo's voice as well?
I mean, we kind of had to, because we had to know that he wasn't a part of whatever was going on. So you had to kind of hear from his perspective.
Be true, but I mean, we could have did without
but
his
I don't
character.
really want to hear about a white
His doesn't want his character there at all.
His perspective in the neighborhood, he gentrified, and he's still understanding. Okay, yeah, like I didn't recognize this stuff because he doesn't see black people. He doesn't interact with black people, and so you can tell.
He don't see color.
Yeah, you have to. If you don't see our color, then you don't see us. That's part of who we are.
Child, he was a whole fool. He was a fool. He was a broke ass, unemployed fool.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving bum. It's giving scrub.
Well, he did say that the reason that he was with his girlfriend was because she had money.
He did have a job in the beginning, though. He did say that, like he kind of
that he lied. That he lied to get
committing fraud.
Yes.
He lied on his resume
and got fired.
But he had one.
And he was stealing.
And bro was stealing.
He was robbing the neighbors.
It just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
He was
breaking into people's houses.
And maybe if that had been happening along the way when all of that stuff was so slow, it might would have made the book more interesting.
You didn't find out that he was doing that until the end when he was telling her. But if we were hearing from his perspective, we could have been seeing it happen all along.
Yeah.
So you might not have known what his true intentions were.
Yeah.
Nobody even ever told us what happened to the mama when he couldn't find her.
Right.
In the garden.
To dig up her body.
The old people moved it. I don't know where they moved it.
Did they say that in the book?
Yeah, they did.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
Oh, we kind of touched on this already, but the author typically writes romance novels. What did you think of this story as a thriller? Was there enough romance? Too much for a thriller, or did there even need to be a romantic relationship between Theo and
Absolutely
Sydney?
not.
No.
Absolutely not. There did not need to be a romantic relationship, and this shit was not a thriller.
She need to stick to writing them romantic novels. Stick to the rivers and lakes that she used.
But you know what?
Thriller is not for her because it wasn't thrilling.
Were you thrilled?
No, I wasn't thrilled, but I mean, since this isn't necessarily her genre of work, I can appreciate her at least trying.
Julie, share your thoughts on what happened with Sydney's mother. When did you start to suspect that something was up?
That actually surprised me. I didn't know that she was gonna be dead and buried.
I didn't know that she was gonna be buried out in a garden somewhere, but I thought it was weird when she kept telling people her mom was doing okay, but when she would call her, she would just call and leave a voicemail. How's she not getting in contact with her? She in a home or wherever else.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it took too long to get to all of these answers.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I was surprised, like, oh damn, that's what was going on. I knew something was going on, but I was like, oh, that's what's going on. But then it made sense. But I mean, again, like you said, we didn't know all of this. We didn't know about her selling the house. And honestly, I'm still confused about Drea and how she had to check for $50,000 and what Drea had to do with the mama with the house being sold.
Well, it seemed like that Drea convinced the mom to sell the house, and the people the people the mom sold the house to had like used Drea as the like person to do it, so she got money for that, which is messed up because Drea's like family. Like she sold out her own family.
You
for
still been,
a
But-
she died or
But
anything.
even I don't even that was all an assumption, because and that was Sydney's assumption. We don't even really know that for a fact, because if she did that, why would she have gotten that information for Sydney about the company?
Because it wasn't about that company, it was about a different company. She got the information for Sydney about the like pharmaceutical company, but she got the check from like the lawyers and the realty company, which were all tied together. They're all in cahoots, but they were different companies. And of course, she gonna have to play it off. She can't tell her friend like, "I sold your mama out."
I don't like that.
But at the same time, it was karma, because then like she ended up getting killed for getting that information.
And she didn't even get to cash her check. That's crazy. What was the most shocking part of the novel for you guys?
That it wasn't a thriller.
That it was so fucking far fetched. That the ending happened like that. That
Yeah, it was wild.
I was just like,
The cop
what
was
is?
running and he fell and hit his neck the perfect way and it snapped and he was dead just like that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you find that some of the interactions with the new neighbors were relatable to any of your own personal experiences? No. Yeah.
Well, I would say, I mean, it was very like they were very microaggressive
And very entitled.
I mean, but as the question's phrase, have I interact with people like that? No, but do I think it's realistic?
Yes, I have. Working in a predominantly white school system, yes, I have experienced those microaggressions.
Yes, working in corporate America we do, but you can't do too much because I'm gonna call HR ASAP. So you know, like then you can do stuff, but you can't do too much because I'm calling HR. But not anything like really like blatant, like how the man was talking to her, like in the bodega.
They were very blatant. I don't think you would experience the blatantness to that extent, because you would have to be someone of the same race.
Explain.
Meaning, like, in that particular instance, they were white talking to other white people about the incident. So they're going to speak freely about how they feel.
No, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about the interactions with the black people. Like when the dog almost, like something happened with Sydney and the dog, and the son or somebody came out and was like, I don't really recall exactly what happened, but it was like very racist. But it wasn't like overt or covert. Which one is it? Overt. It wasn't very overt, but it was kind of like, did he just say that?
Or even more so, like, let's take it to like the bodega. Sydney and Kim was in the bodega, and Kim started crying tears because Sydney called her out on skipping her in the line.
Yes.
That's happened to me and my mom. We were asking a lady a question and she said that we were attacking her.
Not white woman tears. Not white tears.
Yeah. But like the owner of the bodega, like he was egregious. Like when she was talking to the police officer, like when they were digging up the garden and stuff, that was egregious.
Yeah. So even if I haven't personally experienced that, I've seen that.
I could see.
Yeah. I mean, we see with how everything is like put on social media nowadays. We've seen these things happen. We've seen black men telling little black boys on their bicycles they don't belong in this neighborhood, like outwardly egregious like that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like what bothers me more about the book than the fact that it wasn't a thriller and that it was slow. It was just that I'm just so consumed with all of this on a daily basis with the news that I didn't want to read it in my personal time.
I agree. Absolutely. Thoughts on the ending? We've kind of touched on this. Did we feel it was too rushed? Were you satisfied? Do you have any lingering questions?
So now Sydney and Theo gonna go and save all the rest of the neighborhoods across the country?
Are they in a relationship now, or?
Yeah, because I did not like the story, but it was well written. The bullshit was well written.
Bullshit was well written.
Yeah, like she's a really good author. I could see how like her other. I mean, if her other books are different. You know, I can see why. Because
they are. She writes romance.
Yeah, she's a good. She writes well. I like her storytelling.
So let's give our ratings. Tiff, what would you rate this book?
I mean, I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay. Britt, what do you rate this book?
I'm gonna give it a 5. It wasn't my cup of tea, but it was well written. So.
Okay. Lauren, what do you give this book?
5. Self-explanatory based on what we've all been saying.
I'm going to give this book a 2, and I'm only giving it a 2 because Alyssa's a sister. And I'm rooting for everybody black. That's it for Last Call. Please join us next month. We'll see you then.